Well, it's the morning of the second day of the Sea Angling Classic. We're just about heading out. It's 6:30 in the morning. Sun is starting to come through, but there has been a bit of a change in the weather. Zach, interesting stuff yesterday. I think it's pretty clear, having seen some of the sort of the weather that came in the afternoon, the right decision was made to come off early. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. It's always a difficult decision to make, I think, Andy. You know, it was quite settled in the morning, and then we had a bit of wind come in the afternoon.
Quite a lot of wind.
Yeah, and with that wind against tide situation, you know, it does sort of pick it up out there. And although some of the boats could have stayed out and fished it easily, you know, you've got to think of the sort of smallest boat in the competition and their abilities.
One of the things that I was taken by yesterday was the way that it fished in the morning. The smooth hounds, extraordinary. There were so many fish caught. And those big tope that came out, I know we struggled to see anything big yesterday out there from our purposes, but you know, to see 1.5 metre tope, that's a serious fish, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a fantastic fish, and that's really going to push them up the scoreboard. It's going to give them a good foothold for today.
We are forecast a little bit more kind of heavy weather coming in later on. It's perfectly lovely now. I mean, you know, we have had a bit of overnight rain. It's also, from an angling perspective in a competition, about presentation, of course, because, you know, if you're not comfortable and you've been thrown around all over the place, you know, the fact you've got a rig down and stuff, it does affect your thought process and stops you maybe presenting things as you should.
Yeah.
As things are, the guys on Black Bridge have got a lead. Whether they can hold on to it today remains to be seen, because the chasing pack, they're snapping at their heels, and it's going to be interesting.
2, 1, go, 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 go. The competition is now underway.
We have steamed 14.5 odd miles from Portsmouth all the way down here to Pullabank. For those of us who are kind of mere mortals, it's a little bit bumpy out here, but for dyed-in-the-wool sea dogs like Zach Cairns, this is kind of quite calm and quite easy, isn't it?
Yeah, this is perfectly fishable, I would say, for today, especially for this morning until this ebb tide kicks in.
This is going to be a fascinating morning. We've followed Black Bridge all the way down here. We're off the Pullabank, which is a very famous mark in the Solent. Clearly they've come to the area where they had some success yesterday, and they really did have some success.
Well, this mark typically throws out the big tope, and obviously they've done quite well here yesterday, put them top of the leaderboard, so I'm guessing they're going to be trying to mimic exactly what they've done yesterday.
The gap between first and second, let me tell you, so we've got Bluefin in second, the Scottish boat we saw yesterday, Stuart Cresswell, doing really well with the smoothies. They've actually already had a bass this morning, so they're already chasing hard. Today we've had to foreshorten the event again. So we said on the way out, there was some weather coming in. I think what's helped the competitors today, the call was made for very good reason yesterday around sort of 1:45 that we'd stop fishing at 2. We called it before the event even started that we're going to go and finish at 2 o'clock today. How is that going to affect the way everybody approaches what they're doing through the competition?
Well, I think today, obviously, where it's been called early, you know, it gives everybody the opportunity to plan their day around, you know, they've obviously got sort of 6 hours of fishing from the start line.
The interesting thing about what happened yesterday, because the match was called early because of the weather, they were bream fishing, and the plan, I spoke to Jack Coombs, the skipper, this morning, the plan was that they would sit it out and then spend the last 2 hours of the match, so between sort of 2 and 4 o'clock, bream fishing to fill their card. When the match was called, they didn't have time to go and do that, so they made the difficult decision to stay where they were. And sod's law, you know, 161 centimetre tope was what they caught. So on one hand, they lost out on the bream fishing, but they've caught an absolute fish of a lifetime, and that really is a great fish.
Yeah, absolutely, and like you say, it's sort of one fish seems to be separating first and second place now.
So Zach, watching the guys on Black Bridge, I'm interested to, you know, your sort of ideas of what their presentation is here. They've clearly got 4 rods out, 4 anglers, baits in the water. What's the kind of the routine with the presentation for big fish like the tope and the smoothies?
So, typically, especially in this strong tide now, you know, they're going to have their bait presentation is key. You know, it's going to need to be a nice streamlined bait. They're going to be fishing with sort of at least a pound of lead now, maybe a pound and a half of lead. And even then, you can see that the lines are streaming right out the back of the boat, and that's going to all that's going to do is help with reducing the sag on the weight as the boat's riding up and down on the waves. You're going to reduce that snatching onto your bait, which is going to make it look a bit more natural in the water there, you know. And it all looks very intense on the boat as well, I'd say, Andy. You're all there, very keen, and you can see them periodically there to keep lifting their rods up, pumping it back, making sure they're on the bottom. Because these tope, they're all bottom feeding fish.
One of the fascinating elements to today is, of course, because we've got a condensed fishing time, we're fishing 6 hours rather than 8. You know, their available time to sort themselves out and get the fish they need is reduced. So the whole level of intensity is going to ramp up massively.
Yeah, absolutely. And also these guys, you know, being out on top, they're going to be feeling the pressure today to keep themselves up there, and they're not going to want to be slipping down the leaderboard, you know.
Well, Zach, interesting things happening on day 2, as it always does in this event. You know, the guys on Black Bridge have lost their lead overnight, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it looks like we might be about to get a kind of a replay of what happened 12 months ago out here on the Solent with Bad Boys, because they're in the lead. The heartbreak they suffered 12 months ago, it's, you know, isn't it amazing these competitions throw up these dramas?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they sort of fished hard last year. Lost the fish right at the death of the competition on the last day, which could have cost them the comp.
And, you know, we saw Black Bridge, Jack Coombs and his crew desperately searching for the answers this morning, and from what we saw early on, certainly not finding them yet. Who knew sea fishing was this exciting? Well, I suppose you do, but... Now then, Ross, we are 2.5 hours into today's session. The leaderboard is going up and down like you wouldn't believe. If I just tell you, a few minutes ago we had Tequila leading 6 centimetres away from Bad Boys. The leaders changed again. Bluefin are now top of the pile on 1,051. Looking at Black Bridge, then they're on 938 now. So again, we're 1 fish between first and second. One of the things I think will help them today is the decision, you know, that we made early on to stop the competition at 2 o'clock today because of the weather we've got coming in. It will just speed the whole process up. People's decision-making process will have to be right on the money.
Yeah, totally. I think, obviously, from a safety point of view, we can see the weather's coming in, as with yesterday. So the competition will be foreshortened by 2 hours. But yes, as you say, it means the decisions that anglers that they need to make now are critical. So time really is of the essence.
One other thing to talk about, if we're looking at, you know, potentially Bluefin leading the whole field at the moment, they've come a long way to fish this match.
Yeah, they have. I mean, they come from Scotland. They don't really know this area at all. But what is clear is that they're very good anglers. And I think it's great to see the camaraderie that there is amongst all the anglers that are competing in the event, because they've been exchanging information, marks, bait, tactics and different things. So no, that's really in the spirit of this event.
Well, Zach, Black Bridge in second place at the moment. Looks like they've got a fish on. It's one of those, patience has been tested this morning for everybody, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a good fish as well. It's just giving him a walk around the boat, and this could be the fish that gets him in the lead.
Oh.
See, everyone's just widening their other rods to get out of the way so they don't get any tangles.
We're having to manoeuvre around them in the commentary boat too, just to try and keep out of their way. The tide has slowed down a bit, which is interesting. We were sort of moving at sort of 3 knots. It's down to 1.7-ish now, slackening off. Ray, maybe?
Potentially, it does seem to be swimming up tide a little bit. And the way it's moved around the boat would suggest that it is more of a shark species, either a tope or a smooth hound.
Can you imagine what their nerves are like on there? Because they've tried hard this morning. You know, going into this event today, they were leading, and they had an incredible day yesterday. We've talked about the tope they caught a couple of times. I mean, you know, the levels of excitement, massive. What this is, Jack Coombs with a net in hand there.
I'm sure they've been keeping a closer eye on the scoreboards as what we have, and so they know how close it is. So yeah, it's going to be a tense moment as this fish comes up, and as it breaches the surface, that's going to be the most likely time they're going to lose it.
Oh, don't say things like that. But we've seen that before in this competition, mate. We really have. I mean, look at their faces.
Yeah, it all looks very intense on board.
Fishing is supposed to be fun. Well, I mean, it is, isn't it? This is just the competition fishing. It's the biggest adrenaline rush when it goes for you. A little smile there. That's a bit more like it.
Yeah.
That is a decent bend in that rod.
Yeah, certainly doubling that over, isn't it?
Yeah. What have we got? I do sense, you know, you said that fish went up tide and around the side of the boat. It could be topi, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, typically on the rays you tend to see them, they sort of spread their wings out and come out further down in the tide out the back of the boat, but where this is sort of swum right up, and the type of ground we're on, and we've seen the baits that they're fishing with, so you know there's a high chance that this is a good tope.
Big fish, Jack Coombs said. Big fish. Oh, exciting moments.